you brought up this topic of sort of Reb Nachman and sort of the Breslov attitude of clinging to a tzaddik, or I don't know what the term is, but
Dvekis.
I notice in that the Breslov are generally very much attached to the five books of Moses as a paradigm. And I see you moving in a more heretical direction. And I'm just curious what your association with heresy is. And if you, and I'm not as a pejorative, like I'm all for it, but how do you see yourself in position or contradistinction to rabbinic Judaism? That's maybe a whole can of worms, but we'll see.
I'm really glad you asked that question. I am what they call an apocorsis. I'm a heretic, and the penalty for heresy in the Talmud is death. So I've incurred the death penalty, which is, not really that uncommon because homosexuals get the death penalty and so do a bunch of other people. So there's a lot of killing to be done if anybody's going to do any. It's not like the Muslim world. The Jews are really hesitant to kill people because the only way to do it is with the sanction of the Sanhedrin. And we don't have one because the Sanhedrin can only exist if a temple exists. So what happened anciently is impossible now and has been impossible even in Talmudic times. So it's a hypothetical, but it's more than a hypothetical. It's actually symbolic. The type of death that is instituted from heresy is karet, being cut off from the stream of the wisdom of the Torah. So what is the application of that? Well, there are non-religious Jews who don't abide by any of that stuff, and they're not heretics. They are simply just acting like they're goyim. What it takes to be a heretic is you purposefully change the theology, and you purposefully go against the rabbinic interpretation of the symbol system and create something that is a counter distinction to it, where you are no longer adhering to their laws by virtue of their axioms. If you change the axioms, the laws are no good anymore. So the chain reaction is that you break from all of it by virtue of certain theological interpretations that I am decisively making here. And the biggest one is non-theism. And the easiest way that I could describe that to you would be to take the ultimate document of theistic adherence to the Torah, which was set forth by Maimonides, the Rambam, in his 13 Principles of Faith. If you look at the way that I described the ground, and you look at what I do with the theology, I am systematically breaking every single one of those 13 points, because those 13 points are all about the reification of a creator God, the authority of the creator God, belief in the creator God, all of that. And I am absolutely decisively treating the theology as an open-ended state of nothingness. And so to me, has nothing to do with the reification of a personage that can communicate wisdom. In my opinion, the creator God of the Torah was probably a protector deity, a local protector deity that probably lived around Mount Sinai, amongst a million other protector deities, because look at the behavior of that protector deity. Do what I say or else. Do what I say or else I'll fuck you up. It's like a 9-year-old. So if you take this angry, possessive, jealous God of the Old Testament and you look at its behavior, first of all, I don't believe in it. Second of all, if it did exist, I would have to say fuck you to it. By virtue of its actions, by virtue of its disposition, the creator God of the Torah is an asshole. So having said that, you don't throw the Buddha out with the bathwater. You take the theology and you look at the wisdom that is clearly expressed within it, and you distill it out in terms of the ground. So the way that I deal with the ground is a decisive break from rabbinic Judaism and its theology and its axiomatical structure. So when you ask about Breslov, well, I was a Breslover for many years and I learned a lot from them. And the reason why I'm not now is this issue. I do not practice any form of Judaism, nor am I interested in it, in its exoteric structure at all. It just simply doesn't interest me. But its most esoteric aspects are of incredible interest to me. So I've just cut the umbilical cord of those esoteric aspects from the exoteric body from which they came, and I allow that body to float on downstream. I'm not concerned with it, and I'm happy to be a heretic. And what I'm doing is by no means unique. People were doing exactly the same thing in the ancient world. There were Jewish Gnostic lineages in the 2nd century, plenty of them, as evidenced by the fragments that we see in the Nag Hammadi library and other places. As a matter of fact, I've had many discussions with academics, and I can't prove this, but I believe that it's true, that some of the parts of the Corpus Hermeticum were actually Jewish in origin and were from Jewish, Greco-Egyptian, Hellenized Jewish groups of heretics in the ancient world, and used the methodology of Thoth or Tahuti or Hermes because of the culture that they lived within. Because in the Hellenized world, like in the city of Alexandria, where everyone spoke Greek, the educated people and the practitioners, contemplative practitioners, spoke Greek. So they used Greek symbol systems. And the word apokorsis that I use for heretic is a word that is taken directly from the Greek and adapted into Hebrew. So the original meaning of a heretic in the ancient world was a Jew who adopted Greek ideas, and in particular, Hellenized Egyptian ideas, which as a Western occultist, of course I do. I mean, I'm coming from that. I'm coming from the Western esoteric tradition. So I'm historically fitting into a pattern that goes all the way back to the 2nd century. And you could just connect the dots and watch how it works. What I do with the ground, however, is quite radical because of my background in Vajrayana and tantric systems and tantric alchemy. And that is a whole nother discussion, but basically it comes in the context of being a heretic, a Jewish heretic in a very specific way. And there is no connection with the rabbinic context, but the most esoteric aspects of Kabbalah that are shared with rabbinic authority. Like, for example, today I mentioned several Lurianic ideas that I've taken out of context because I am not a Lurianic Kabbalist. Even to do that is heresy amongst Lurianic Kabbalists, because Lurianic Kabbalah is very, very specific. Like you run through the Hishtalshelus, and then you talk about, the shattering of the vessels. The world of the Nekudim, the world of points, is one of those, and is presented in a certain way. I've just isolated the one part that I wanted to use. So what I've created out of Lurianic Kabbalah is even heretical for esotericists in the Jewish world. So I'm causing so much trouble on so many levels that just to own up to it is the easiest solution for me. Does it get people mad? Yes. Have I gotten death threats? Of course. Do people not like me because of it? What do you think? So there it is. I have insane people and angry people all over the place, and people who love me all over the place. So I just do the work and, try not to get people too angry, I guess. I hope that answered your question.
No, is a very very full and thorough answer, and I definitely appreciate it. So thank you.
Are you an Orthodox Jew, by the way?
No, I'm just wearing a funny hat. I'm not an Orthodox Jew. Was raised Reform, but interested in all things Kabbalah. So thank you.
Oh, wait, let me add one more thing, because you just mentioned that. it would be very interesting to match up where Reform or Reconstructionist Judaism fits into what everything I just said, because the Torah is very specific, right? Judaism is based on a set of precepts that are written down in a book. Sometime within the past 200 years, a bunch of people said, you know what, we want to pick and choose what we're going to take from this structure and dilute it, essentially. What they are not heretics.
Yeah.
Right. The Reform movement is not a movement that is ever even accused of being heretical. To be a heretic doesn't mean that you take the structure of something and dilute it. It means you fundamentally change its axioms. So that's an important distinction. The whole Jewish renewal movement, which is a movement into esotericism from the Reformed and Reconstructionist branches, is not a heretical movement. And a big part of my audience is coming from that perspective. They aren't heretics because they still adhere to certain fundamental Jewish rules. They live a fundamentally Jewish life, even though it's very diluted. So that's an interesting discussion in and of itself.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Sure.